Sup, Strength House Nation? T-Bone, G-Money coming at you with Strength House Podcast Episode 10. We made it to double digits. Tonight we're going to talk about online training, what to look for if you're a lifter, what to do if you're a coach, and how to make it a profitable part of your business. We got two awesome beers from Massachusetts to Ohio. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned.
The Strength House Podcast, featuring Greg Robbins and Tony Bonvecchio.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Strength House Podcast. Big episode tonight, episode 10. A lot of people didn't think we would make it this far.
Nope, double digits.
The Las Vegas had us making it to episode 7 and not an episode past that, but we have overcome the odds, and here we are, episode Diaz, and it feels good.
Diaz? Is that Spanish?
Spanish for 10.
Okay, just a second.
Yeah. We got a great episode for you guys tonight. We have kind of one main topic that we're going to stick on tonight, something that Tony and I have a good amount of experience with, and honestly, we've just gotten a lot of questions about it, so that's going to be the focus, of what we talk about. I'm going to save that topic and not tell you what it is quite yet, and we're going to...
Well, I have it on the Facebook feed as the...
All right, well, if you're on Instagram, you guys don't know what the topic is, but... We're also up close and personal tonight on the live feeds.
Yeah, trying a little bit of a different view. I don't know if getting so close to our faces will make more people tune in, or perhaps fewer. I don't know. It might be a little bit jarring being.
I don't know
so
if
close.
I can have my phone sideways. So if you're on Instagram and it's coming in sideways, let me know. Oh, it works. Cool.
It's sideways.
Yeah, it works sideways. Yeah, well, that's good. We're both wide people. I'm surprised this is the first episode we had to do sideways.
Yeah.
All right.
Getting wider by the day.
We got some great beers tonight too.
Yep, two great beers. We have one. Our first offering is from a brewery that we haven't featured on here yet. This is South of 11 Double IPA from Hoof in Ohio. Hoof kind of I would say is almost in that realm of Treehouse and Monkish as one of the top ones out there. Definitely the best, I think, coming out of the Midwest. And what I love the most about all these beers that I've tried, besides the fact that they taste awesome, is that their can art is hilarious. They're all puns, kind of like dorky, funny things. And this one, South of 11, is a play on the Slayer song / album, South of Heaven, which, Slayer played a big part in my childhood, growing up listening to heavy metal music. So pretty excited to give this one another try because I have had it already.
It is good. It has a small paragraph on the back, and I feel like I should read it.
You want to read it?
Double India Pale Ale, clocking in at a blistering 10.2% ABV. South of 11 is the epitome of...
Wait a sec.
Epitome.
Yeah. It's a good start. I'm just like...
South of 11 is the epitome.
We might be here. I'm going to crack mine while you read this.
How would you pronounce that next word?
Hedonistic.
Hedonistic pleasure. Indulge in herbal therapies with us as we embrace the Ultra Hessian, Simcoe, Eureka, and Denali hops. Light some candles. Turn off the lights. Look through the mirror and begin to recite Whirlpool Dry Hop, then Dry Hop again. South of 11 is actually 10.
Nice.
Nice little rhyme there, too.
Yeah.
This is the last time I say I'm going to read something out loud without checking the words that are in there.
And I know the first time that I cracked this, I got the same thing I'm getting here. This beer stinks. It smells funky right up front.
10% is a wicked... this is a serious brew.
Yep. All right. Cheers. South of 11.
South of 11? Oh, yeah, you can smell that from a while.
Mm-hmm. People say that about me sometimes. Smell them from a mile away.
That's different. That's good.
Yep. I like this one a lot. This one reminds me a lot of Stilling Street from Trillium.
Yeah. It's got like a apricot, like real fruit flavor to it.
Yep. It's definitely like almost borders like there's like some sour notes in there almost. And yeah, it's just like it's the higher ABV you get, I feel like the more flavor variance you get sometimes.
You want to sip, Josh? It's different, yeah.
Hoof-Hearted hasn't let me down yet. That's for sure. I've really enjoyed everything I've had from there. I have some more coming in later this week. Established a trading relationship with a fine gentleman, Kyle, in Ohio. It's good to know people.
Thank you, Kyle, then, for these beers.
Yep.
All right, let me finish that pour. I mean, one thing that's cool is now you guys are up close and personal. You can see the can. So, south of 11.
Got a little devil guy.
Pagan, little mark on his head. Kind of looks... I guess he's like a pig. Anyways, good beer.
Yep.
Good beer. All right, so before we get into training, I got a beer fact for you guys tonight. You may have noticed before that, you get a beer and sometimes you get an IBU rating on your beer. So what does IBU mean? What does it stand for? Our beer expert is out this week. Had a little things going on for his real job that is not drinking beer. So this comes to us a compliment of thebrewenthusiast.com. IBUs were actually invented because it was hard to measure how bitter a beer was. Just like it's hard to measure how comfortable your favorite sweater is, it's all about perception. So since the earliest 20th century, the IBU scale was introduced and has evolved as a way to put a number to or quantify this perception and assess just how bitter it turned out to be when it was ready to drink. So the strict definition is simple. An IBU is an empirical measurement measured in parts per million of isohumulone, which is the main chemical compound derived from hops that makes your beer taste bitter in a given volume of beer. Isohumulone is created when the alpha acids in hops... These words are killing me. Isomerize. We're not sure. The jury's not out. Basically, dissolve or break down in the boil. And that's it. That's literally what an IBU is. So
it's actual measurement of something.
Yeah. Basically, how many of these acids are in your beer, which make it bitter. But to be clear, beer is about the balance and the ingredients and taste. Just because a beer has a higher IBU doesn't necessarily mean that it's perceived or even taste to be as bitter as something with a lower IBU. So you can drink a stronger amber ale rated at a 60 IBU that doesn't taste nearly as bitter as a 55 IBU pale ale. So it is important to realize that just because something has a certain IBU rating, it's all the ingredients as a whole that come together that actually give your taste buds that bitter feeling.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of irks me, grinds my gears a little bit when I go out to a bar and somebody orders something strictly based on the ABV or strictly based on the IBU, assuming that they're going to get a certain taste. You really can't make any assumptions with beer, and that's something that's been fun about this hobby is getting to understand how different flavor profiles and different hop and malt combinations kind of play off each other to create a unique taste.
Absolutely. All right, so our main topic for tonight's podcast has to do with a lot with online coaching. So you want to kick us off, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get a lot of questions about online coaching, not just inquiries from people who want to work with us, but also questions from other coaches who we talk to. And online coaching is clearly something that's become a very viable career option for a lot of coaches, and something that plays a big role in what we do in the Strength House. So you've been at this for longer than I have. How did the Strength House get started with the online component? Because I know it originally started as something you wanted to have as a community of lifters. And to reach a lot of people, there had to be an online component. So how did you first kind of initiate yourself into the online coaching realm?
Well, I guess, when I started the Strength House as a website, I knew online coaching was something that would be part of it. But I didn't know that, honestly, at this point now, the Strength House is almost entirely just an online coaching community. So it started more as a place for information, for people to come and get various information on training, and I would write a lot of articles or have other people write articles and feature them on the site. So the overall path for doing online training was pretty rocky. So I think at first I would just take anyone I could get, and they would mostly be kind of referrals. So they would come from people that I used to work with, or they would come from other people that were doing online coaching that I knew that were all right, I either don't have any room left to take this person. So I would kind of just get kicked some people. They're like, hey, why don't you reach out to Greg? This might be a good fit for you. And And really, when like I started doing online training, I would probably take just about anybody I could get to do it. Anyone I could get.
Yep, and that's a really interesting point that I think we'll get to later, talking about like if you are doing online coaching, how to kind of specialize and pick the right clients. But a question that I'll often get from other coaches, it's one of those big, broad questions that doesn't have like a black and white answer. It's like, how do I get started with online coaching?
Yeah, so I mean, well, I think we're both a good wealth of knowledge on the online coaching topic, but if I was to go back and tell someone else how to get started with online coaching, it'd be way different than the way I did it.
Yeah.
So my journey in online coaching people online has been completely trial and error to get to a point now where I feel like it's nice and cohesive and everything works really well. So how do you get started? I think the number one place to start is, even to this day, some of the best online coaching clients that I've had, and you've echoed this, are people that you have worked with in person before. So the first people you kind of want to target, if you will, or reach out to and see if they're interested, are people that you used to work with in person that you just physically can't anymore. So if you've worked at multiple gyms and you've kind of moved around, or maybe you've relocated, that's the best place to get started, because those people likely still want your help. And I mean, the bottom line is, like, if you're doing online training, you're out there, you're doing it because you want to help other people and you want to get them stronger and help them with their goals.
Yeah, I think that's so important what you just said right there, is to help people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, if you ask them, like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting into online training? They probably say, like, oh, I want to make more money, or I want to, like, increase my client roster without having to do that much more work. And, like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Josh knows I love that term. You're wrong. It's the answer has to be to help more people.
Yeah.
Because that online reach just is going to help you help way more people than you could ever help in person.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to say that your wrong thing reminded me of Eastbound and Down. You're fucking out. But anyways, yeah, to come back, I think this will be an episode full of a lot of rants. But yeah, there's a ton of people that do online training. There's a lot of just shitty online training that goes on. There's a lot of scam artists. The thing about online training is it's massively scalable. So, like, without, from this room right now that we're sitting in, we could train 1,000 people. And likely, if we're training 1,000 people, there's going to, that's going to mean that we don't have necessarily everyone's best interest in mind. So, it's you have to watch out for who you're working with. But, the people that are likely going to benefit from your help, right off the bat, and should probably be the core of your online training group when you're starting to get started, are people that you used to work with in person, or you've met, or you have a relationship with in some degree, who you just physically just doesn't work out, that you guys can train in person right now.
Yep. If you trained somebody in person before, that means you've likely done an assessment, so you're aware of injury history and like any sort of concerns that might affect programming. You know what their needs are in terms of like motivation and accountability, stuff that's really kind of hard to do online. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, pretty much every time somebody asks me, like, what's the first thing I should do to get started with online training, I tell them, get really fucking good at training people in person.
Yeah.
Because all the skills that you craft training people in person are going to help you with all the headaches that you run into with online training. Things in terms of not being able to see every set and rep, being able to evaluate technique, from a video from one dimension, one viewpoint. The accountability stuff where, like, if you could just have a hard conversation in person in the moment and be like, hey, you're struggling because you need to do X, Y, Z. Sometimes those conversations don't happen until weeks beyond when they should have, when you're doing stuff online. So you just learn so much about how to coach people effectively in person, that I think if you haven't done it in person, you really have no business doing it online. And if you don't continue to train people in person, at least to a certain degree, you're probably going to kind of lose touch with some of those coaching skills that are necessary to be successful, whether you're training people in person or online.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, like, online training, if you're a coach, to be something that kind of comes to you. not something to start, not something that you get started and you're like, okay, my goal is to be an online trainer or an online coach. Like, I understand that it's somewhat kind of the wave of the future and it's scalable and all this, but I really don't think you'll ever get more results online than you would have got in person. So oftentimes I still refer a lot of people to in-person coaches who reach out to me online. And yeah, so I would say it should just be kind of like a natural progression. Like, you should just be working your ass off coaching people in person, and then the clients have to leave or they have to relocate and they're like, oh, can I work with you online? Or someone says, hey, I got a friend in Ohio, and I know we're in Massachusetts here, but I really think they would benefit from your help. Would you mind working with my friend online?
Sure. Can they send me Hoof harder in the mail?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But yeah, so it shouldn't. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in people saying like, my goal is to be an online coach.
Yep. You see a lot of that, I think, with these Instagram fitness stars or whatever. Some dude who's like pretty jacked and takes a lot of shirtless pictures, or some girl with a big butt who like posts a lot of workout videos, and they're like, yeah, look at me, like, here are all my selfies, here's my online training program, it's $999 a month, like some absolutely stupid. But that's the kind of stuff that I think makes it hard for good coaches to get started with online training, just because there's so much bullshit out there, and it just waters down the quality of the coaching that could be out there.
Yeah, I would always, I think we're going to get back to this a little bit, but if you're seeking out an online coach, and if you are an online coach, I would be a little bit weary of someone whose entire Instagram or whatever social media is just full of them.
Right. Yeah, that's
So, like,
that's a red flag right there. So with that said, that segues nicely into, I think, a question that is really important to talk about. So if somebody is an established in-person coach, they've got their coaching chops all set, they've got a strong client roster in person, they want to expand to the online realm, what are some things that people can do to generate leads for online coaching?
My number one, like most favorite one, is to just, make your clients the star. So
that's what I was hoping you'd say.
like,
teed that one up.
Absolutely, yeah, that was an easy one. Absolutely, just make your clients the star. It's not about you, anyways. Like, it's something I would hope that you want to do already. But even if you're training them in person, you can still feature them a lot, and maybe put like a small thing, like, would love to have you in person. If you can't be here in person, check out our newest feature, distance-based coaching. Or you do have like a small contingency of people that you are coaching at from a distance, and just put videos up of them training, and just say, big congrats out to so-and-so who hit a nice PR today, distance-based client of whatever, the name of your organization, or just of you, hit a big PR today, keep up the great work.
I mean, because results are number one, right? Like,
absolutely number
like
one.
You have to get results, and
that's the funniest thing about this fucking industry. That drives me nuts. It's
yeah.
like, it's a results-based industry, and like, people literally hand over money to people who have never proven to get results.
Yep.
Like,
and
how stupid are you?
And if you can't get results in person, do you have a prayer of getting results with somebody online? I think no, because there are just so many variables that you're going to have to relinquish control of. You can be the biggest control freak you want of somebody, when you train with them in person, especially pretty frequently. So I think this, if you gotta, that's why in person is so important, to be able to prove yourself there that you can get results, and then you can focus on trying to get results with people from a distance.
Yeah, that's a rant in its own self, but like, that's the funniest thing about our industry, is like, there are so many coaches out there who will flash all kinds of information and knowledge at you. And it's been years I've seen people just throwing out all this knowledge, like, this is how you do this, and this is how you do this, and this is the best way to do this. And not once have I ever seen them display any kind of results with somebody to say, here's so-and-so who started here, and now they're here. if you can't show, like, that should be happening all the time if you're good at what you do. So there should be lots of examples of that. And if there's not, don't work with that person. That's my 2 cents. Like, you can say before and after pictures are edited, but I think a lot of times they're not edited. Like, if people are showing you before and after pictures or showing you people hitting PRs, like, here's so-and-so's squat 3 months ago, here it is now. Like, you can be pretty rest assured, like, okay, it works for all these different people. It's probably going to work for you if you put the time in and you do it.
Yep. So with that said, I'm going to go with something that I think is really, really important that you should do if you're trying to get into online coaching, and that's to gather testimonials. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard to ask for people like, hey, can you type out a bunch of nice things about me? But if you do things right and you coach people well, they're going to jump at the chance to do that and help other people learn about you. So anytime that somebody like sets a PR, I ask for the video. Anytime that somebody makes some sort of substantial improvement, or if they go to a meet or something like that and do really well, I ask them to just like write up a little blurb like, hey, can you give me 2 to 3 sentences about your experience? It's really quick. You get it from email and you're able to post it on your site so other people can look and see kind of what they're getting themselves into. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but it's important to ask your clients to share their experience.
Yeah, testimonials are huge. I know this is another conversation that we've had before, is like, just to keep this both from how you can be good at online coaching, and then also if you're a client or if you're just someone looking for possibly an online coach. And this was something I told you for like a good year, is like, when you look at someone's testimonials, look for client testimonials and also look for other professionals' testimonials.
Yep. I thought this was like so dumb at first, but then like when I finally figured out why, it just like light bulb went off. Right,
because it shouldn't happen, but it does, is that anyone can make up client testimonials. Yeah. Unless, if there's no video or picture evidence, they can write whatever and say, Beth from South Carolina added 50 pounds to her squat. Like, I could type that up tonight. So, it usually when you're seeing client testimonials, plus you're seeing other well-respected professionals in the industry giving testimonials on the same page, you can be rest assured that the client ones are real. Obviously, the professional ones are going to be real, because if anyone saw that and it wasn't real, they would call them out. And that's usually another sign that someone that you would want to work with. And another thing that will help you if you're trying to establish yourself online or just in the profession in general.
Yeah. And I always, like, at first I was like, fitness is just such a big circle jerk. Like, people just like, patting each other on the back and like, you're so good, yeah, and you're so good. And I hated that idea. But then when I thought about the fact that, like, if somebody would put their own reputation like on the line to explain how good somebody else is, like, that finally made sense. So yeah, if you're looking for an online coach, look at their testimonials page. Is it just all clients, or do they have some other well-established, reputable coaches in the industry who can vouch for their effectiveness?
Right. And I would say, like, videos and pictures and things like that they're important too. Like,
yeah. It's almost like, you accumulate references when you apply for a job.
Yeah.
Kind of a similar idea, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a coach in any other industry, if you're a coach of Major League Baseball and you've never coached a team above a 500 season, you get fired.
Yeah.
It's a results. It's what have you done for me lately? And it's the same in this industry too. Even though people try to work themselves around it a lot and flash all kinds, like I said, all kinds of, fancy articles and information and awesome graphics and this and that. Like, don't let that stuff fool you. Like, look for some results, because oftentimes the guys and girls that are getting great results don't have the time to put in the amount that some of the other ones do in the graphics and massive articles area. They do the best they can, for sure, and when they have the time, they put out some great information. But, like, the number one thing as a client you should be looking for is results. I mean, if you're a coach looking for more information on how to be a better coach, there's guys and girls that do that, and they put out tons of information, and that's what they do. They help educate And a lot of times those are people that got results and have been getting results for a lot of years and just don't have the roster that they used to. But
we got a question from John O'Neill, who asks, can you also provide beard grooming tips to online clients?
That's pretty funny that you say that. Because I just so happen to have a beard brush and my favorite beard balm right here. And we were talking about how it would be awesome if this beard balm company would sponsor our podcast, because I already spend enough on this balm all the time. So
can I show it to the camera?
Yeah.
Honest Amish beard balm. Greg and I were just talking about this today because I tried a beard oil today. I had a little sampler that was tobacco scented, and I didn't really like it. I kind of spent the whole day huffing this aroma that I didn't really love so much. It made my beard nice and soft, but it didn't smell very good.
I've been using this for the last few years, and I love it. Honest Amish beard balm. So most mornings what I do is I shower, come out of the shower, beard's a little wet, feeling pretty good. Give it a nice little brush down like this. Nice little brush underneath. Get that thing going in the right direction. Take a little of this Honest Amish beard balm. Just about that much. Right there, about a fingertip's worth.
A little booger.
Nice little booger. That would be a big booger. Emulsify it, I think is the correct word.
There's no way that's the term.
No? I thought that's what it was. Anyways, you liquidate it in your hands.
That's not the term again.
So, now it's a liquid. Rub it in the beard. Smells great.
Yeah, that's sniff.
Feels great. There you go.
Oh, man. I'm ready for that.
Smells good, right?
It does smell good.
You said cinnamon. I think I feel like a little bit of cedar wood.
It's cedar wood. I put cedar wood on. Let me rephrase in case my wife is watching. My wife puts cedar wood oil on the dog and cat to, make sure that fleas and ticks aren't attracted to them.
That's good.
So you're probably not going to get fleas in your beard.
No, well, that's good because my wife thinks my beard is full of all kinds of germs and bugs and all kinds of stuff. And then when I'm done with the balm, I just give it a nice little brush down. And then I usually go to the gym and lift, and it gets all sweaty, and it's disgusting looking anyways for the rest of the day. But it starts off great, and that's all that's important.
Yeah. All right. Another thought that I had on ways that coaches can generate more leads for online clients, things that they can do. One of the most important things that I realized along the way is that people who seek out online training are usually seeking some very sort of specialized coach. Mm-hmm. So I think if you specialize in some sort of training, whether like for us it's powerlifting, or if it's working with somebody with a specific type of injury, or if it's training bodybuilders to peak for to be on stage, I think that's one of the fastest ways to find more clients, because in my experience, the average Joe is not looking for online training. Somebody who's just a general fitness person who just wants to like lose a couple pounds or look a little bit better. Like we kind of talked with Todd about that last week, is how do you help people who don't have well-defined goals? And I think that people who have very well-defined goals are the ones who are seeking out online training. So, being a generalist is always, a difficult thing to do in fitness. So the more you specialize, I think the more that you're going to be able to narrow in and hone in on that market on the online side of things.
True. Yeah, that's a huge lesson that I had to learn in the online training world. I'll say this. Number one, most online coaches and people that get into online coaching promise way too much. They promise the world that they can help you with any ailments, help you with any kind of like pain that you're in, or work through this injury, or help you with this goal and that goal, or make you the best squatter in the world. That's all stuff that's really tough to do from a distance. And the bottom line is like there's things that might take me a month to get someone to do online that I could probably get them to do in 15 minutes in person. And that's just the way it is. It's not necessarily right or like it's not bad, because I approach it just completely different in an online training standpoint. Like, just because it takes a month for us to accomplish something doesn't mean we're not accomplishing a bunch more stuff online. So I'm not saying that, like, the results you get in 15 minutes in person, you have to wait a month for online.
But it's just harder to dial in some technique stuff when you can't put your hands on a person and see it from multiple angles.
Right. I almost have to, like, work around it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So most online coaches promise you way too much.
And I was definitely guilty of that early on when my client roster was small. So desperate to get clients that, like, when I would, do a consultation online or something, I would, promise the world and be like, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you this, and you can text me any time of night, and, like, you can call my phone at 2 a.m. and I'm going to pick up and I'm going to help you with whatever you need. And then it's like, fuck, I can't help with all these things.
Right.
So you end up over-promising and under-delivering when you really just kind of want to do the opposite. You want to be very, very clear with what you can offer, so that there's that expectation. And then if you over-deliver on top of those things, then that's awesome. But you definitely want to under-promise, over-deliver instead of over-promise, under-deliver. Did I say that right? Probably not.
No, I think you're on point. I agree. So, like, so I would say, like, just as an example, when I started online coaching, just because I was, like, a fresh coach at Cressy Sports Performance, so, like, 5 years ago or so, I got a lot of people that were kind of, like, a little banged up trying to bridge that gap back into performance. And honestly, like, my client roster online never got like too big. And that's because, like, it takes a lot of work online to help someone, like, work through an injury or come back from an injury into training. So as an example, when I first started as an online coach, I would take as many of those people as possible. It might get up to 5, 6, 7 of those people. Right now, I absolutely will not work with more than one of those people at a time. One. That's it. A lot of times I don't even have that one person. But if it's possible, if that person knocks on the door and says, I'd like to do online coaching, which I don't even really have a way for them to find me, that kind of person anymore, but sometimes they do. Which is fine, because usually that's someone that has seen the type of client that I do work with now and says, all right, that's what I want to do. Can you help me get there? And I'll say, yeah, if I have the time. Like, if I'm not already doing that with someone else. And usually, like I said, I don't really have that door open for someone, so it's pretty rare. Won't take more than one of those people. And so, yeah, honing in on exactly one type of client, it streamlines your whole process, which does two things. It makes your life way easier as an online coach, and at the same time, it makes your product 1,000 times better for all your clients, which is like a win-win for both of you. So when I honed in and said, okay, I'm just going to work with guys and girls who want to get stronger, mainly at the big 3 lifts, not necessarily have to compete in powerlifting, but they want to squat, bench, and deadlift more, or some combination of that, and they want to get, like, bigger and stronger. Not fat loss clients, not baseball players, not injured people looking to get back into training, like, just people that want to get stronger at the big 3 lifts, and maybe, like, very, very close offshoots to that. So now, honestly, I can take small variations of similar themes, which makes my life easier. And on some ways you could say, like, oh, well, that's less individualized for each of your clients. No, what that is now I have, a certain amount of people rolling through all the time. And so my petri dish is huge. And so I get to run these programs through more people and figure out exactly what works and what doesn't work. So now I'm even more confident that I can get everyone stronger and everyone bigger, because I'm just working with the same types of people all the time.
Yeah, you have more test subjects for your experiment.
Right.
So it helps you figure out, like, and be able to definitively say, like, this method has worked with X number of people, or, like, this method has failed with X number of people. It helps you hone in and create a better program overall.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, because I've talked to some people that are like, oh, I would feel guilty because I would be giving everyone the same program. Well, you should never be giving everyone the same program necessarily. But there are times where if your client pool is people that want to do a powerlifting meet, that really narrows down the kind of program that they could do anyways.
If you're individualizing every single program, so if you have 10 clients and you have 10 drastically different programs, you're just making shit up.
Right.
We know that there are some things that definitively work, and there are some things that don't work, and novelty just for the sake of novelty is not effective.
Right.
There are more people who are similar than there are people that are different when it comes to just getting maximally strong.
Right. And so many people are just dishonest with their clients. Be like, yeah, well, I individualize everything for every person, like no matter what. And it's like, honestly, a lot of times, and I'm sure like a good amount of our own clients are listening, I will start with very similar programs for people. But if you look at them in week 8, 9, 10, two people, Josh, you can be a testament to this. Like, we've had 2 interns, Josh and Joe, you guys start on the exact same program. But it's different now. And it's just because one thing that we'll talk about when we get to our second beer is, like, how often is your online coach updating your program? And that's something that we've flirted with in different ways. Let's finish this beer.
I'm
ahead of you for once.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about like updating the programs a little different. Wow, just like that, it beats me anyways.
Yep. Built for speed, not for comfort. Right. I tell you what, man, whatever. So I've had some beers that kind of give me the same sort of tickling in the back of my throat, almost like I'm like slightly allergic to something that's in it.
That one got you?
Yeah, so this one and Double Dry Hop Stilling Street from Trillium give me the same sort of like little tickle, little itch.
You said that one.
I'm gonna pee really quick.
Yeah, it tastes the same, so I don't know if the hops are similar.
Where's Rod? Ask where Raj Law is watching from.
Raj Law said, "I'm watching. Guess from where?"
Guess from where?
Yeah, Joe said that. Are you pooping, Raj?
Somewhere in the depths of Mark Fisher Fitness in New York City. Some sort of secret bathroom, Raj's secret hideaway. What? I saw my wife have a comment come through. I'm not in trouble, am I? So like a
Yeah.
Probably because I stopped myself and said that she's the one who treats the pets for fleas and ticks. Although I did do it this past week. I took the fall for the family, and the dog and cat hated me for a couple hours after I applied flea and tick medicine.
Yeah, I got mine last week too.
That's why
All right.
Pet parents, you got to do it.
All right, after the halftime, we are back. All right, guys, we have a special beer for number 3. 2. Technically 3.
This is beautiful.
So next we have Curiosity 34 from the Treehouse Brew Co. This is their first Curiosity we've had on the show.
It is.
So Curiosity is basically, as far as I understand, the brewer basically, they have some rotational beers that they offer all the time. And what it seems that he does is kind of plays with those beers a little bit. Like changes, the amount of hops or the yeast or something. It makes them slightly different. Basically plays around with them. That's why they're called the Curiosity series. They have awesome artwork by a local artist out here who, if you tuned in last show, we talked about with the In Perpetuity.
Yeah. Dean Keever,
label.
Is that his name?
Dean Keever, yeah. You can go to keeverart.com and check out his artwork. It's really cool. But yeah, awesome cans. But he does more than just beer cans.
Yep.
Let's crack into it.
And this beer is going to taste especially good because when this was released last Wednesday, this is hard for me to admit, I was actually on my way to Treehouse, and I was following along with the Twitter updates because Treehouse will put updates on Twitter for like how many cases they have left to kind of give people an idea of how quickly they're going to sell out. And I was driving on 290 in Worcester. I could either hang a Richard and go home to Providence or stay on my path to head out to Treehouse.
Young
and
Richie.
A Twitter update came through that there were something like 60 cases left or whatever, and I
Don't look for sympathy over here.
I rang the bell.
You rang the bell.
I rang the fucking bell. I bailed.
Rang the bell.
I said, "There's no way I'm gonna make it out there." It would have been another 45 minutes or so. I didn't have faith. I gave up on this beautiful beer, and shame on me, but I did the legwork I needed to.
It's hard for me to give that up.
I had that beer in hand the next morning. I traded for it.
A little IP trade.
I got it. But yeah, this is gonna taste all the sweeter because this is the one that almost got away. So Greg, thank you for donating
well, as soon
this.
as you said he didn't go, I said, Tony, guess what? We'll do it on the podcast next week. Because I went
awfully
that
nice of you.
And this is a great beer.
This beer is really, really, really good. This one's got it's got some lightness and some fluffiness to the body. It's got a little bit of that like crackery, bready snap that you'd get with like a doppelganger.
It's just gonna break pretty high into the top 10.
This is really, really good. This of I haven't had a lot of the Curiosity series. In fact, I've only had 3 of them. I've had C32, 33, and 34. This is hands down the best of them.
Yeah. I feel like, did they start at 1? Because people really only...
I don't know, man.
We have to look at
I think I saw they started at 1.
Started at 1. This is just everything good about Treehouse, like packed into one beer. Because there are a lot of the Treehouses are really, really juicy and fruity and are like soft and low bitterness, like your big 3, the Green, Haze, Julius.
Yeah.
But this has like the snap to it that Doppelganger has, and like when I first was sitting on my couch and drinking this, I was thinking in my head like, this literally dances across your tongue, and I was just hoping that I'd be able to say that on the podcast someday. Like it starts off with like a fizziness and like up front, and literally like moves backwards on your palate, and there's so much good about this.
This is like really hard for me not to just like drink in 5 seconds.
Pound the whole thing.
Yeah. It's super tropical, and it's like it's incredibly drinkable and light, but at the same time full of flavor, which that's a win for me.
Yep. Yeah, and it's exactly like what the can alludes to. This is a beer that I would love to just crush, on the beach. And I fucking hate the beach. I know you hate the beach too.
I don't like the beach.
Beach is a terrible place. Like,
if you gave me this beer, I would go to the beach to drink this beer.
Look at my complexion. Like, I don't do well in the sun.
You get sand all up in the creases of your, like, where you don't want it. The water tastes like salt, and then you're walking around in that mushy seaweed.
The only thing good about the ocean is there are sharks in it, and the sharks will fucking kill you if you go in there.
Yeah, they're not even good, like, to be, like, with.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
they're
from
just
a distance.
good to admire from a distance.
Honestly, I'm not, like, someone that's afraid of snakes, or... The one thing that freaks me out that I don't like is, like, being in water and not knowing what's, like, below me.
Yep, I feel you.
Like, below me, there's just all these creatures swimming around, and one of them could just bite my leg off at any second, and I'm just out here with my inner tube playing tennis ball with my friends, having a good time. It's like, God, I just feel like people are dumb. They're just, like, out there sitting ducks. One day, everything's just going to be like, and, like, it's going to be a mass murder.
And I grew up in Vermont, which is landlocked. There's no ocean, but tons of lakes.
Yeah, but
and, like,
there's nothing killer in the lakes, you know?
It's nothing killer, but, like, there are sturgeons that are in there that are as long as this fucking room. Like, I don't know if you've seen what a sturgeon looks like, but you basically cross, like, a gigantic fish with an alligator, and that's what a sturgeon is.
Man, I'm not going in lakes now either.
Yeah, don't go in the water.
No, I'm a mountain guy. Forest mountain guy. I want the lake to be there. I like lake houses. I even like beach houses. I don't like being on the beach, and I don't like being in the lake. Bottom line.
We're just land mammals. We're not aquatic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
creatures.
if you look at us, you can tell. We're definitely built for the land. Yeah.
And the largest land mammal is? We talked about this today.
The African elephant.
Correct, the African elephant.
Yep.
There you go. Fun fact of the day.
All right, so back to what we were talking about before.
God, this is fucking good.
It's
I just
really
need to say
good.
it again.
Apparently C11 was the other really, really good
the other. There must be other really good ones.
Some guy goes neck and neck with C11. This was
C32 is
He's
still
obviously
like.
been there from the start.
Someone on a comment to that?
No, on the Treehouse, and they retweeted it.
Need more like Treehouse enthusiasts to watch the podcast.
Yeah. Well, all right. So basically, to go back to the training topic, the online training. So what happened was, God, now I kind of forget where we were. I know we're going to talk about how frequently we check things out. That's right. So, when you narrow things down to kind of starting with a lot of the similar clients. So if we use Irish Josh, for example, and Joe, who's another one of our intern, they both have the same powerlifting meet in mind. When I ask for where their strength levels are, pretty close to the same, to be honest, from where they started. So aside from
Josh
looking
at
at,
because he's a better bencher.
Well,
I see a look of disgust on his face.
To the same. But you know what? When Josh set his max, it wasn't that far from Joe's, which is a good example for like how far they've separated difference in the meantime. So basically, the one thing that we took into account differently is that Joe's pretty much injury free, and Josh has had a shoulder surgery, so certain things we can't do with Josh. So there's some slight changes in the exercises, but for the most part they start exactly the same. But now that we're on week 14 of their training program, things have separated quite a bit, and that has less to do with like starting them differently just for the sake of being completely different and saying, oh, they can't do the same thing. Has more to do with how frequently you check in on a program and how well you get feedback in a program. So really the difference maker, in my opinion, to the way that we do online coaching is that we check in on a weekly basis. So nobody gets their program more than a week in advance. And there's a system set up in the program for people to report back on a RPE scale, which is something we've talked about on this show. So if you want to find out more about that and you weren't there, go back and watch it. I'm not going to go into it again. But they report back on an RPE scale. They have an ability to make comments. And then additional to that, they're posting videos of their top sets a lot so that, one of us can actually look at the speed of the lift and see how fast it was.
Yep. I was having a conversation with a client this morning about kind of where you have the RPE that they report, but then I also am able to see the video and see do they match up.
Right.
And that helps clients learn to report more accurate RPEs, because sometimes what they interpret as something is being very, very difficult, but the bar speed just moves like that, then I can tell them yeah, I know that felt hard, but it still moved really well. Or maybe vice versa. Sometimes people are doing death grinders. I call it the Instagram RPE, where it's the bar moves and you're literally getting the shakes and you barely lock it out. It's it's a 7, that's speed weight. So yeah, that feedback helps everybody get on the same page in terms of how hard they're actually training. It's
an interesting concept because it's so I've decided it's really important to get the RPEs from people. I think actually my wife is a good example because everything she does, she goes super hard with in the gym, but her RPEs can be super accurate. Actually, even though her bar speeds are on a lot of times the same, the RPEs are also just a good idea. I mean, honestly, they should be the person telling you how hard it was for them, whether the bar moved fast or not. If the bar moved fast and someone said that felt like a 9, sure, maybe it wasn't a 9 from a true sense of they had more than one rep left in the tank. But maybe it was a 9 in the fact that they're kind of beat up and they haven't been recovering well and it felt like shit. And it's important to take into account, if you trust that person, all right, that's a 9. Because there was times when I would write her programs where I would watch it and be that looked like an 8.5, possibly a 9. And she would come back and be that was a 7. And that, that's just the different types of lifters, because some people just don't make things look as fast. And so to hear a 7 means, okay, I'm full of confidence. I'm recovering well, I'm coming to the gym with a lot of energy, and if I'm hitting my weights, I'm writing it down as a 7 or an 8 because I just feel like I can do anything.
Well, that's a really interesting point because I think one of the questions that we both ask lifters when they come on to work with us is like, are you a really explosive lifter or are you kind of like somebody who grinds stuff out?
Yeah.
And like matching up bar speed with their reported RPE helps solidify that. You know, because I think of myself as somebody who can who does pretty well with heavy singles. I can make high percentages look fairly quick, but like I may not be able to double that weight, like hit that weight for a set of 2, even though the first rep is pretty explosive.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's part of being an online coach is learning to figure out who your lifter is and what kind of qualities they have in terms of like grinding lifts out. Are they somebody who makes everything look quick even though it's difficult? So the RPE scale can help define that.
Yeah. And so really I think a sign of a really good online coaching program, in my opinion, is the frequency in which they're going to check out and write your program. And if they're going to modify it week to week.
Yep.
It's not to say that someone can write you a really well thought out program and they can give it to you 4 weeks in advance. And that's where I started. I used to give people programs 4 weeks in advance. And they were good programs, but they didn't account for what you should hope to receive reaching out and paying a little extra for online coaching. If you want programs 4 weeks in advance, buy an ebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, buy an ebook that gives you 12 weeks of programming because you're basically getting the same thing. I guarantee it. Like, at the end of 4 weeks, especially if it includes a deload, they're just going to unleash their next phase on you. The difference is looking at it week to week and saying, okay, here's where they stand. How do I progress from here? Instead of a set built-in progression, I'm going to modify things based on how well you're receiving this training stimulus. And honestly, that is the difference maker. And that's sometimes why I even sometimes get better results online than I will in person, because in person I don't have people always write down RPEs and actually have to like say exactly what they're doing training.
Yep. I mean, that's another part of why like training people in person I think is such it's just a logical prerequisite, but it really does matter because when's the last time you wrote 4 weeks of programming for somebody in person and didn't tweak like just at least one little thing over the course of a 4-week program? You see them in person, you see something that's working, but then you see something that might not be working that's like, okay, let's change this like on the fly. And if you're able to update on a weekly basis, you can do that. And I'd say probably pretty close to 100% of my programs have at least one small change over the course of 4 weeks, you know, and you just like you react to the feedback that the lifter is giving you. So I've done the same. I've done 4 weeks of programming at a time, and I personally don't like that. I don't feel like I'm delivering a good enough online experience if I say, you know, like, all right, here's your program. Don't hear from them for 4 weeks. 4 weeks later, they email me, all right, done, ready for the next thing.
Absolutely.
Like, man, like, sure, that was low maintenance, but, like, I didn't see anything. I didn't get any feedback. Like, how do I know? How can I evaluate if I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah.
So the weekly updates is something that has completely changed my ability to be a better online coach. I know that both of us have gone, you know, back and forth on this a little bit, and you've gone even as far as to do daily updates.
Yeah.
How much fun was that?
Daily updates was rough on my end, for sure. So like,
well, how did the effectiveness of daily updates compare to weekly updates?
No difference. That's why I changed. So I started to realize that like daily updates, yeah, someone could feel like crap one day, and so I could modify it day to day, which isn't wrong by any means, but like that's where you start to draw the line, and it's like it's not necessary. It doesn't make that big of an impact in their programming. It could make a small impact, like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Okay, so I could literally modify this upper body session, but it's like I can wait. Like, you know, maybe that upper body session doesn't go quite as well as you hoped. Fine, we make it up on the back end next week.
You know what though? Like if you build a good rapport with your online client, in my experience, like somebody will usually email me or text me ahead of time and be like, hey, like I'm going in to train in like an hour. I feel like shit. Can we change something a little bit? You know, and that will lead nicely into a conversation about boundaries. But like leaving that line of communication open, you know, you can almost turn a weekly update into a daily update if you need to.
True. Yeah.
But it just became so much work.
Yeah. Daily updates was tough because, you know, you have people relying on you for their training each day. And most of the time you're fine. You can update it. But it's, you know, it's really gonna be a hassle in the long run if you try to do that daily updates.
That's like a overpromise under deliver scenario, I feel.
Right.
God forbid some sort of life circumstance happens where you can't update training.
Something will come up. It will come up.
Yep.
And it will throw you off, and you'll be scrambling last second to update everyone's programs. So, for me, the sweet spot's been weekly updates.
Yep. Seems to work really, really well.
And to the point where I would say, you know, if someone's not doing you the service as an online coach to put something in play, whether it be RPEs or whatever they come up with, to get your feedback and then update on a weekly basis or even more. If they want to do daily, it's on them. But like at least a weekly basis, you could probably find the same training for a smaller price. So to me, when I hammered it out, I realized the way I can get better results with people, give them a better product, is not by just taking everyone and individualizing just for the sake of individualizing, but to actually hone in on one type of client, start them all with a similar program, different but similar based on where they are, if they're doing a meet, whatever. There might be like 4 to 5 scenarios I cycle through, at least to start people. And then let the weekly updates and let their feedback and watch their videos and let that dictate which exercises come next, which loads comes next. So honestly, that's really how I think it should happen, and that's, I think, how people are going to get the best results.
And in terms of feedback, something I just thought of, a couple things that made an astronomical difference in my ability to get people where they want to go and to just like communicate with clients is something that we talked about on multiple podcasts. Something I actually got from, I guess, combination Greg Knuckles, Nancy Newell, is putting like in my Google Sheets, putting a monthly goals tab where I have people fill out each month. It's like, okay, here's a long-term goal, something that's going to be over the course of several months to a year. Here's a short-term goal. Here's what I want to accomplish this month. And then a nutrition-based goal, a hydration-based goal, and a sleep-based goal. And some of them may stay the same indefinitely, but when they fill in, especially that monthly goal, that's something that helps me keep on track. Because obviously when you program as a coach, you have kind of the long-term planned out. Sure, you may be programming a week at a time, but that week at a time is just a snapshot of what you have planned for 4 weeks. And that 4 weeks fits in then into several 4-week blocks and make up a 12-week block to get them kind of to something long-term. But if your client puts in something specifically they want to accomplish that month, and it's not like in your long-term plan, then you do kind of have to reassess and either adjust your programming to make sure that they're satisfied, or communicate to that client like, hey, I know you want to accomplish X, Y, Z, and we'll get there, but here's what we're working on now. And it just keeps that line of communication open, and just having my clients fill out that monthly goal sheet has made a world of difference in terms of communication. That way, like, they can't come back at me and say, like, we didn't get where I want to go. And then I can refer back to that page and be like, here's what you told me you wanted to do, and here's what I did to try to get you there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
And again, it's just writing down goals, right? We've talked about that a million times every fucking podcast so far.
Yeah.
Write down your goals, and they're probably going to happen.
True. Yep. Yeah. I'm going to have to pick your brain on that and implement that myself. It's something I do like kind of day one with people, but not month to month as much.
Like sometimes I'll sit down to write a program and be like a little bit foggy in terms of where we're going next. I just look back to the program before and look at the long-term goal and look at the short-term goal. Did we accomplish the short-term goal? If the answer is yes, let's go towards the long-term goal. If the answer is no to the short-term goal, I'm like, man, okay, we better get that done this month, because a happy client is a client that sticks around.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to maybe one last topic we can finish up with, which is super important in the online training realm, is setting clear expectations right off the bat. And we've alluded to it a little bit, but day one, one thing that I've always had in place, but has evolved a ton over the 5 or maybe the 7 years I've been doing online training, is my intake form. Like what people get right off the bat that says, I need you to fill this out.
How do you deal with inconsistency?
Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. So an intake form, that's been something that's like really important, and that's understanding, like getting the information that you need, and then also day one getting back to him and saying, what do you expect to get from online training? Here's what I expect from you, and coming to some kind of agreement. Because as someone, if you guys are coaches listening and you want to get into online training might seem like like you alluded to, like an easier job, or like, oh, I don't have to go to the gym, I don't have to show up, I'm just gonna have all my clients be online.
I'll work in my underpants.
It'll work in my underpants. You can work in your underpants all you want, but what online training will open the door to is the fact that people will think that they have 24/7 access to you all the time, and that they can text you or email you or call you, and that you're at their beck and call 24/7. And not only is that wildly unneeded, it's gonna fuck up your life pretty bad. So expectations day one are huge, and like I know that's something, like, as you've asked me, like, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, I don't allow for something. I just don't allow it. Like, I don't open that door to say, call me anytime, because it's not needed. Mm-hmm. So I honestly just kind of say, day one, in 12 weeks, what do you want to happen? What are you going to leave happy? What do you expect? Hear it from them, and then I'll say, okay, this is what I expect from you back. And then now we've both put our cards on the table, and I can say, like, well, listen, I'm not going to call you every day and ask you how your day was. Like, it's just not going to fucking happen. And I don't expect you to tell me every day how your day was. But what I do expect you to do is tell me when you're done training for the week. I expect you to fill out your sheet in an informative manner. And I do expect you to train with consistency and train as hard as possible, and devote yourself to this program.
Yep. And we got a question about inconsistency, right?
Yeah, how do you deal with inconsistency?
Well, I think the weekly updates deals with that right away.
Right.
Because, like, if you only get 1 week of training at a time, usually the day that I update the most programs is Sunday, right? Because most people train Monday through Saturday, take Sunday off. And if I don't have a program by late Sunday night, then I can fire off an email to so-and-so and be like, what's up? Are you ready to go for next week?
Yeah.
And that can keep them going. And, they're paying for X amount of training at a time, but you're delivering it 1 week at a time. So they paid for all this training beyond what they've been delivered.
Yeah.
So people aren't going to, if people pay for 4 weeks and they've only trained the first week, they're not going to leave 3 weeks worth of paid training on the table. They're probably going to get it done. Yeah. So that's where, like, the weekly updates has been a tremendous decision from a results standpoint and from a monetary standpoint, just like making sure that you get paid on a regular basis. Yeah, I know Chris didn't say anything about how huge I'm looking.
Boo! No, that is like we didn't really allude to that, but like that's like almost a no-brainer. Like, why didn't I think of that? Of course you should do week-to-week updates. That's so much of what people are paying for, whether they know it or not, is the accountability factor. And until you've actually filled out your sheet, you don't get another one. So you don't get 8 weeks program. You don't get a 12-week individualized program. You don't get a 4-week program. You get 1 week. And until you filled it out, you don't get the other one. And that makes it so easy to reach out and say, hey, what's up? Haven't heard back from you yet.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse than chasing people down for payment, right? Like if you decide to do online training and it's a part of your career and it's part of what pays your bills, then like you want to get paid, right? And this is like the dirty thing you don't want to talk about, but like we do this to help people, but we also do it to help make money. And if you don't keep people like on task and on like a regular payment schedule, then it affects your life. So something that just keeps people on schedule means that people are paying on a regular basis. And it used to be like if you deliver 4 weeks of training at a time, people will stretch that shit out to 5, 6, 7 weeks, and suddenly every other program, I'm losing out on a potential paycheck. So that weekly updates keeps people on task so that they're paying on a regular basis too.
Yeah.
And like you hate to think of it that way, but what we're doing is a business. We do it because we love helping people, but it also happens to help us live the lives we want to live. So I know that once I switched to weekly updates, it dramatically improved my ability to project what I'm making from a money standpoint instead of chasing people down all the time for money.
Yeah. Well, and like, yeah, from a business standpoint, as a coach, it's like people will be like, oh, I feel bad. I don't want to chase people for money. It's like, well, if people aren't filling out their program every week, they're also not going to get any fucking results because they're not training. So you're not doing anything wrong by hassling them and being like, hey, fill in your sheet. It's time for your next training. Why aren't you training? Let's go. Like, we've talked about this before on this podcast, and like I will bet the farm against it every time. Consistency trumps everything when it comes to getting stronger and when it comes to being fit. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, whether it be online or in person, I've never seen someone stick around and show up 2 or 3 times a week in person or fill out their sheet every week online, do that for a year and not see awesome results. It's only the people that fall off that come back and be like, oh, I didn't see the results I want to see.
And
like,
you know what's like what I get a real kick out of? So when I send out my invoices are named by like initials and then number of the month they're on. There's a direct correlation between the number at the end of the initials and how strong they've gotten. And I'm starting to kick out initials that are like 18, 20, 24. People who have been with me for like 2 fucking years, and they're really strong. Right. And that, like, I literally smile ear to ear when I like type that out. Number 1, because I'm getting paid. No, I'm kidding. Number 2, because I'm getting paid. Number 1, because they've stuck with me that long and they're seeing the results. So it's not just something that, like, again, if you're looking for an online coach, this isn't a quick fix. It's not like a hit it and quit it type thing. It's something that you're signing up with for the long term to be able to get the results, from a year, from 2 years, from 3 years plus of training.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, if we're going to come full circle, how would you sum up? How about you sum up? If someone's trying to get into online coaching, what are the like couple things that you would absolutely do right off the bat?
Things I would do right off the bat: make sure I've been training people in person long enough to be a kick-ass coach. Because if you can't do it in person, you can't do it online. Specialize in some type of training, because average Joes aren't a good fit for online training. You need to have some sort of specialty. And then put yourself out there, because you have to be your own biggest advocate. You're not just going to get like discovered for online training by mistake. So you got to be fairly active in terms of social media, posting your client successes, demonstrating that you can get results, whether it's putting information out via blogs or Instagram or videos or whatever. Hustle a little bit on the marketing side. It doesn't have to be sleazy. It doesn't have to be paid advertising, but do something. Use all the avenues that you have to put out information to help people. And if you demonstrate via blogs, videos, Instagram posts, etc., that you're able to help people, you're going to find clients, because results is what people want.
Yeah.
Results are what people want.
And I will say, if you are somebody looking for an online coach, train with us. No, I'm just we'd obviously love to have you. But if you're someone looking for an online coach, the things that you're looking for, number one, look for some kind of quantifiable results from real people that you can relate to, okay? I mean, if it's some dude with no neck, traps that are covering his neck, or if it's some girl who looks like she's been training for the last 8 years and all the clients that person's posting are like that, and you're 2 years into strength training, maybe not the best fit. So look for quantifiable results from people that you can relate to, and go with that person. Look for someone who is going to individualize your program, not so much from saying, I'm going to make sure all the exercises are tailored just for you. Someone that's going to individualize the program based on weekly updates at the very least. Checking your program week to week. Someone that has something in place to get your feedback on at least a weekly basis to understand how you're taking the training. And lastly, look for people that you trust, and try to look for a community and a brand and something that you can really get behind and really feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, that you really just love being a part of. You love the people that are part of it. You can make some friends. And maybe, you don't have a great gym in your area where you can fill that void in person. So you do it from a distance base, and that's awesome. That's what's so cool about having that available to us, and why we've put into place what we have with the Strength House. So those are the three things I would say to really look for if you're trying to get into an online training program. I think we're done. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Well, we have to rate our beers, but I hope this was helpful for coaches and lifters alike. I know we get a lot of questions from coaches who want to get into online training, and it's something that's definitely made my life better. I know we've been able to reach a lot of people by training people online, and you just think of if you want to help the most people possible, it just makes sense. So if you can do it well and provide a good quality experience, is something you should absolutely pursue. But you kind of have to have some boxes checked ahead of time to be ready for it. Yeah,
it's not necessarily for everybody, and here's what I say: it's not for everybody, but anybody can become an online trainer. So you have a pretty fucked up situation. So
so do your homework.
Ask your questions, do your homework, and just don't jump into something.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to let you get started. I have to pee again. All right.
The world's biggest man, the smallest bladder.
My friend said he can hear you on the mic peeing.
That's not true.
Wait, listen for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's a strong stream you got there, Gregory. All right. So we got to rate this week's beers. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to say right now that South of 11 is not going to make the top 10. I like this beer a lot. And I know if I had other Hoof Hearteds, it would make it. But not this week. Sorry, South of 11. All right. My number one beer, I believe, Julius from Treehouse. Beer number 2, Green, also from Treehouse, dominating the top 10. I'm going to move the...
I'm not sure you had
It's unbelievable how fast the Facebook viewers drop off when we rate our beers.
Yeah, cool. You guys
come on! This is what this is about.
Honestly, it's probably the best information you're gonna get.
Education.
Yeah, we're already down to 4.
Perpetuity, was it? Or...
I know in perpetuity made it really high.
Yeah, I think then it was individualize.
Appreciate that. Ooh, I can't read it.
Hold on. So I'm gonna put
T-Talk.
I'm gonna put C34
Appreciate that, man.
number 3.
Yeah, it's gonna
Back
be up
in the
there.
top
It's gonna be
3.
up there for me.
In perpetuity 4. King Sue 5. Hayes has got to be up there somewhere, right? Heady Topper. That's home team advantage.
You have Heady Topper in front of Hayes.
You know what? We're gonna talk about it. This is gonna be a thing. The streets, which of course the Stilling Streets can
back for like a second try.
Hayes.
I've already thought about it. Don't trust me. Hayes.
Because it's really low.
Doppelganger.
Cutting tiles.
Cutting tiles.
That's what I have next week. I have Cutting Tiles Galaxy.
Is that 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Swish got knocked out of my top 10.
Knocked out. Wow.
That's
We're gonna
absurd.
have to bring beers back.
Greg, don't get ahead of yourself.
We're bringing beers back.
The wheels have been rolling. Now I'm gonna pee.
All right, but still a respectable.
If you
top
do
10.
anything stupid, I'm gonna yell at you from the bathroom.
Greg, I believe you would just want yours to be read at you.
I would. Yes, thank you.
Hayes.
Just want to note, Hayes is number 8 in Tony's, number 1 in mine.
Jesus. 1. Doppelganger.
9 is 2.
The streets disguised as Stilling Street.
We need to get a street scan.
Cutting tiles.
I'm gonna go ahead and also put actually
In 3rd.
C34 is gonna become my 3rd. So the streets is gonna become 4.
Cutting tiles. It's nearly a tie between Julius. Green. Swish. Yeah.
Man, you cough a lot.
In perpetuity.
Alright.
Fluffy. Oh,
That's it.
Did Fluffy finally get knocked out of your top 10?
Can I? Yeah, because I would rearrange these a little bit.
Hold on, no, that's not allowed
next week.
yet.
Next week? Because there's some things I would change about
Yeah,
this.
just stay the course.
Well, that's my top 10.
I think we should get Julius back on as well because that was a bad batch.
And I would like green to be revisited too.
Yeah.
Because green,
Those are that's
honestly,
the Holy Trinity.
it should be there.
All right. Well,
And
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I
we
think
all make decisions in life. We got to deal with them.
my top 4 will be all trios. But all right. But either way, guys, thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate it. Next week we got a guest, possibly.
I believe so. We'll keep you updated.
We'll keep you updated, but you know, usually we have a guest every other week at least, so you can count on that. We will have a guest next week. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch you next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Cheers.
Peace.